Oh, where'd he go?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to call our Select Board meeting for Tuesday, April 4, 2023 to order. First order of business, I want to welcome our newest colleague, Mr. Patrick Holland. Congratulations and welcome to the board, sir.
Thank you.
And I would next like to invite everyone in the room to please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, our first order of business is to conduct our traditional reorganization. And historically, there was a long-standing tradition where the recording secretary, who used to be in the room, would begin the meeting. And obviously, we don't have a recording secretary present this evening. So I will ask for nominations to the various positions that we need to sort through. And I'd ask my colleagues for any motions that they wish to make. So let me start with the position of chair and ask if there are any nominations that my colleagues wish to make.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to appoint you as chair once again.
Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. All right, so for our recording secretary's benefit, the motion was made by Mr. Kratman to nominate Todd Johnson as chair, and that was seconded by Mr. Mackey. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, can I ask for a motion to close nominations?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, motion made by Mr. Kratman, seconded by Ms. Wellman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, and now on the nomination itself, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so that will be a 5-0 vote. I will vote in the affirmative, and I want to thank my colleagues for their support and trust for another term here. Let me now turn to the position of vice chair and ask if there are any nominations for that position.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to nominate James Mackey for vice chair.
Second that.
All right, so we have a motion made by Ms. Wellman, seconded by Mr. Holland. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask if there's a motion to close nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Kratman, seconded by Ms. Wellman. All those in favor of closing nominations signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. That would be a 5-0 vote. And then on the nomination itself of Mr. Mackey to serve as vice chair, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will also be recorded as a unanimous 5-0 vote. And then that brings us to the last position, that of the clerk. And let me ask if there are any motions that my colleagues wish to make.
Mr. Chairman, I would, sticking with our tradition, I would like to nominate Mr. Patrick Holland.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion made by Mr. Mackey, seconded by Ms. Wellman. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the nominations.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Wellman, seconded by Mr. Mackey. All those in favor of closing nominations, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair votes aye as well. That would be 5-0. And on the nomination itself, to elect or select Mr. Holland as our clerk, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And I will vote in the affirmative as well. So that would be a 5-0 vote for our recording secretary's benefit. I want to thank you all again, and congratulations to Mr. Mackey and Mr. Holland for accepting and serving the town in that capacity. Okay, the next order of business we have 2 street acceptance hearings this evening. First one is scheduled for 7:05 PM, pertains to Border Road. It is a public hearing. I'll read the notice for purposes of our recording secretary and for the public's benefit. pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 82, Section 22 and Section 23. Notice is given that the Select Board will conduct a public hearing on April 4, 2023, at 7:05 PM in Town Hall at 1009 Main Street, Tewksbury, Massachusetts, for the purpose of laying out as a townway certain road, namely Border Road. By accepting Border Road, the town is allowed to expend Chapter 90 monies to make improvements to this road. So let me ask if there are representatives or a representative from the petitioner on this. This is a private party article, if I remember right, or hearing.
Do I put this?
You certainly may, yeah. Whoops. There you go. We can make that work. Thanks, Mike. All right, so if you don't mind, just first and foremost, introduce yourself for the record. Okay, so
Sure.
We can capture that.
You bet. Jim Hanley, Civil Design Consultants.
Okay.
Here on behalf of Call Krupe and Sons. I was the original design engineer for the project. We originally approached the board in, I believe it was 2016 for the original design. Went through the design process with Planning Board, DPW. The roadway's been constructed. We submitted it in as-built to the town. I believe it was the last week of 2022. We received a review letter sometime in February, did a site walk with DPW maybe 3 weeks ago, give or take.
Yep.
There were a couple of issues, one of which there was excessive cross slope on a couple of areas on the sidewalks that were installed. Nothing significant, but it was in excess of what's allowed by ADA. We cut that out, I believe it was last week, replaced that, a few portions of that, driveway aprons. And really are in the process of trying to finalize the information that is in the letter dated March 30th here. You have to bear with me, I didn't receive a copy until I walked in tonight. I believe it's consistent with everything we've talked to DPW about.
All right.
We think within the next couple of weeks, we'll be able to address each one of these issues.
Okay, you don't see anything in there that's of concern to you as far as
No.
completing
no.
this?
Yeah, no, we went through, again, we had our site walk, we went through each one of these comments. We have a plan in place to address them. The largest comment was the sidewalks that was taken care of last week, as well as a street light. We proposed a street light because we have a crosswalk that replaces an existing crosswalk across Salem Street.
Okay.
That's a little tricky to get, because you got to go through National Grid, and we have to go through the town to
Right.
petition National, so finally, we got that done as well, so.
Okay,
I
great.
think most of the heavy lifting's done, there's some paperwork we need to address, which we'll do over the next couple of weeks.
All right. All right, do my colleagues have questions for Mr. Hanley? Anyone? No?
No, I have a question.
You do, Ms. Wellman?
Can you describe how the site is processing stormwater? I've read some of the comments, and I know there's mesh and some leaves, but there's no stormwater that's running onto abutting areas, is that right?
No. We had some challenges during the design
Yeah.
and initial implementation. We had an infiltration pond that we had some challenges with. Went back to the board, worked with DPW, modified that to be it's called a wet pond.
Yep.
Essentially, it holds water during the year. Soils were very good for it. That's been constructed for maybe 2.5 years now at this point. We haven't had any problems since then.
Okay.
So the design complies with the state stormwater standards, and it's been in place for about 2.5 years, so we've got some good track record on some storms.
Okay. All right, thank you, that was my question. I appreciate your deliberation.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you. Anyone else? No? Okay. All right, it's a public hearing, so I want to offer members of the public that are in the room an opportunity to comment or ask any questions on this particular matter, if there are any. Does anyone in the room have questions or concerns? No? Okay. And Mr. Sadwick, are you representing the town on this item this evening, or is Mr. Montori?
Steve can do it.
Sorry to, I just, I know there's been discussions with the DPW director and others at the town, so I just want to make sure that, for the record, the town and its interest from the administration's perspective has been protected. Can you comment on any concerns or any items that are of particular?
From what I heard from Mr. Hanley, all of the issues would be addressed, and I think we're okay.
Okay, very good. All right. If there's no further questions, let me ask if there's a motion to close the public hearing.
I actually have one more question.
Okay.
Thank you. Were abutters noticed about this hearing?
If parties of interest were noticed for this meeting.
Okay,
This is a street layout, so it's the street itself, and people that are addressed on the street were notified.
okay. But nobody in a
In the
neighboring street?
surrounding, no.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
All right. So let me now ask if there's a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All
Second.
right, we have a motion made by Mr. Kratman, seconded by Ms. Wellman. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The chair will vote aye as well. So that'll bring us to our deliberation. Does the board have any preference on how they wish to take action this evening?
Mr. Chairman, I would vote to approve the acceptance of Border Road Street.
Okay, you're making a motion to accept the street?
Yes.
Okay, is there a second to that motion?
Second.
All right, motion was made by Mr. Kratman, seconded by Ms. Wellman. All those in favor of the motion to accept Border Road, please signify by...
I'm sorry to interrupt, but it may be helpful if it's acceptance and layout, just so that the record reflects that the selectmen took a vote on the
Got it.
layout.
Okay,
No, I'm going to clarify that, because thinking of the comments that have to be finalized.
Yeah.
I'm going to make a new motion to accept the Border Road Street acceptance and layout with the contingencies that all the, things that were mentioned in the letter from our town are met to the satisfaction of the town.
second.
Okay, all right, so you're striking your first motion?
Yes.
All right. Okay, so we have a motion made by Mr. Kratman to accept the street or road and the layout, subject to the contingencies indicated by the town,
Yes.
right? Seconded by Ms. Wellman. All right. All those in favor of that motion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I will vote in the affirmative as well. So that would be a 5-0 vote in favor of that condition. All right, sir, thank you. All right, I need to pause on that. The second hearing is at 7:15. So, Mr. Montori, can you speak to the new business on the annual and special town warrant? You have a signature page or something you need us to take action on?
That is correct. The warrant will be posted this week, and the board needs to sign the page that was provided
Is that in
tonight.
here?
That will go with the posting of the warrant.
All right.
It's something the board does annually for annual and special town meeting in May, and then again in October for the special town meeting. The warrants have been sent to the printer for printing and mailing. They'll be posted. I think the constable's posting on Friday. We're going to upload to the website tomorrow.
Okay. All right. So we don't need a vote to sign it.
I don't believe, no, because you already voted to
Right.
call for town meeting.
Issue the
Yep.
warrant, right. Okay. All right, do you want to speak to the donations from the Friends of the Elderly?
The Friends of the Elderly are donating $150 to the senior center. This is money they raised during a St. Patrick's Day dinner that they held. And they've are gifting the funds to the center, and it needs to be accepted by the Board of Selectmen, and the town accountant will set up an account for the director to use the funds from.
Okay. There's an existing revolving account for this purpose?
There is.
Okay. Let me ask if there's a motion to accept the donation from Friends of the Elderly.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Kratman. Is there a second? All right, seconded by Mr. Mackey. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well. So with gratitude, we'll accept that donation from the Friends of the Elderly. Okay, by my clock, I have 7:15 PM, so I'm going to go back to the public hearing on Grammys Way street acceptance. This is a public hearing. I'll read the notice. Purpose pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 82, Section 22 and Section 23. Notice is given that the Select Board will conduct a public hearing on April 4, 2023 at 7:15 PM in Town Hall, 1009 Main Street in Tewksbury, Mass, for the purpose of laying out as a townway certain road, namely Grammys Way. By accepting Grammys Way, the town is allowed to expend Chapter 90 monies to make improvements to this road. All right, so Mr. Hanley, you're back again.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Andy Civil Design Consultants.
Thank you.
Approached the board in 2020 for this 3-lot subdivision. It was an existing residence plus minus 4 acres of land. We designed in the space residential subdivision. We have 3 lots approaching 500 feet broad. The roadway is complete. Again, we submitted it and built the last week of January. Got the initial letter, maybe first week of February, I think. I've had a site walk with DPW. And we had the same issue with the sidewalks, with a minor slope in excess of 2%. Those areas cut out. We're on agreement with DPW on the comments that they have, and we're working to express them.
Yep.
One comment that we do have that we're trying to address is the infiltration basin for leak water. The drains did 72 hours. Groundwater is brutally difficult. We have designed the basin consistent with the stormwater regulations that are dictated by DEP as well as DPW and the EPA for that matter. I'm meeting with DPW tomorrow to have a discussion about making adjustments to the basin so that it will drain the 72 hours. And that's really the outstanding item that I'm still trying to figure out. Today's April 4th. I feel like it's sufficient time between now and the end of the town meeting to be able to get on the same page with DPW and implement a solution. That's what we're aspiring to do.
What, just out of curiosity, and understand I'm not an expert in this particular area, but what kind of remediation could you take to accelerate the draining?
So we had standing water in the pond in 5 days. This year's 23, so the fall of 21, we excavated up 2 feet. Well, that's a silty material in that part of town. It doesn't percolate very well. We excavated out 2 feet of the bottom of the basin to put in a CB, clean CB material. We had an attempt to try and get this treated more. Didn't have any luck with that. It's still holding water. Now, it still mitigates the peaks, right? So we don't have any issue with the downstream increases in drainage. But it's just meeting that 72-hour standard that the state says. So some of the things we can do are take out more material, right? Try to pull out instead of 2 feet, 3 feet or 3.5 to 4 feet, or look out some different VMTs. So there's other items that we can do with design and input the sand filter. There's things we can do to be able to trust this, and that use down DPW monitor. Bottom line is that in that part of town, the soils are very silty, difficult to work with. During construction, they migrate to the low point, which is the pond. They tend to flood faster up. So we're going to have a discussion with DPW now, get all the same page.
All right, very good. Okay, do my colleagues have any questions?
Yeah,
No?
I do.
You do, I'm
I
sorry.
do. Thank you, Mr.
Ms.
Chairman.
Wellman?
Yep. So comment number 2 is about the stormwater ponding.
Yes.
That was indicative of some improper grading. Could you just tell us a little bit about what you've done to
Yeah,
remediate
yes.
that?
Can I approach the...
Please.
Of course.
So we have, again, am I on? I think I'm-
Yep, you're all set.
Okay, so I mentioned that we had an existing residence. This is the first lot on the left-hand side. The roadway essentially is above existing grade, right? So we had to design a solution to catch water that kind of comes in off of this hill. Our solution was a catch basin that all of this area would drain to, get into our drainage system and into our pond. What's actually happened is that they excavated a little too much, and we're talking like maybe 8 inches of too low, right? So what ends up happening is you get about 8 inches of ponding there. Once that builds up to that level, it goes into this basin. So the solution is to drop the rim or to fill the area in, regrade it so that it all discharges into that catch basin.
So have you decided what you're going to do yet, or is that part of your conversation tomorrow with the DPW?
No, we've decided we're gonna regrade that area so that it all drains into that catch basin. That's the easiest thing to do, so that's what we'll do. Yep.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, any other questions from my colleagues? No? All right, similar to the first hearing, this is a public hearing. Let me ask if there's anyone in the room who wishes to make comment on this particular matter. All right, I don't see anybody rising, so let me ask if my colleagues will offer a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All right, so we have a motion made by Mr. Mackey, seconded by Ms. Wellman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the public hearing is closed. Let me now ask, and I think we learned from the first hearing, the art of the language that we need to incorporate. So let me ask if there's a motion that anyone wants to offer on this item.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we accept Grammys Way as a street and the layout, provided the provisions indicated by the town engineering staff have been fulfilled to the satisfaction of the town.
Very good, thank you. Is there a second on that motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, so the motion's offered by Ms. Wellman, seconded by Mr. Holland. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Chair will vote in the affirmative as well, so that's 5-0. So you know when town meeting is, and we need to advance this in the warrant through the town meeting process. So, you know, the timeline's probably tight, but we need to be able to assure residents at town meeting that all these conditions have been met. So I'd ask you to keep the town apprised.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then we can hopefully stand up and support that at town meeting.
Great.
Okay?
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, by my watch, it's 7:25. I'm going to move to the next item, which is a change of manager application for Escapology of Merrimack Valley. How you doing? Welcome. So let me first welcome you both here, and I know Mr. McLaren, but if you could introduce yourself for the record, that would be helpful. All right?
Donald McLaren.
Malin Bourgeois.
Can you do me a favor, just, yeah, because our recording secretary is
Malin
not here.
Bourgeois.
I'm sorry, say it one more time.
Malin Bourgeois.
All right, Malin, thank you. I apologize. She has to capture that.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so, Mr. McLaren, this seems like it's pretty straightforward, but you want to just, for the purposes of anyone watching, explain what you're asking us to approve tonight?
Yeah, we're looking to transition our liquor license, not our liquor license, but the manager of our liquor license, from Emily to Malin.
Okay. All right. So Malin, can you just explain, have you had experience with liquor service before?
Yes.
And the responsibilities that come with that?
Yes, for several years.
Okay. All right. Do my colleagues have any questions?
Are you tip certified?
Yes.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. All right, and I believe is a Corey check underway, right? So, okay. All the other documentation seems to be in order. All right, do my colleagues have any motions they wish to make?
Mr. Chairman, motion to approve the transfer of license for Escapology of Merrimack Valley.
Change of manager?
Change of manager. Thank you.
Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so is there a second to that?
Second.
All right, so the motion is made by Mr. Mackey to approve the change of manager request, seconded by Mr. Kratman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will be a 5-0 vote, as I'll vote in favor as well. Thank you both.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
Thank you.
All right. All right, are there any residents here that wish to speak on any matters today? Okay, I don't see anyone rising, so we'll move forward through our agenda. That brings us to the town manager's portion. Is there anything else you wanted to speak to tonight?
I do not have any.
Okay. That brings us to item 7, which are minutes for approval. And you will find, my colleagues will find, and interested parties who have the materials will note that we have minutes from January 19th, 2022, January 21, 2022, May 2nd, 2022, May 4, 2022, August 3, 2022, August 9, 2022, September 28, 2022, October 25, 2022, December 6, 2022, January 10, 2023, January 25, 2023, and February 15, 2023. All have been reviewed and are being presented for approval. So I'll ask if there's a motion to approve those minutes.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
All right, thank you, Mr. Kratman, for making the motion, and Ms. Wellman for seconding it. All those in favor of approving those minutes, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Holland will abstain, so that for the purpose of our recording secretary, that's 4 votes in favor and 1 abstention, that's Mr. Holland. All right. Now, in speaking with the staff in the town manager's office, I believe we have minutes for the month of March that need to be approved. One set is ready and will be on the next agenda, and our recording secretary is in the process of transcribing the meeting that we had a couple of weeks ago. So hopefully when we come back here for our next meeting, we will have those minutes to review and approve, and that will get us up to tonight's meeting. And I think we can all be appreciative of a lot of work that went into catching up and addressing all of that. These minutes that we just voted on will be circulated for public viewing. Generally, it happens the next day, so I'm guessing that they will do that tomorrow or certainly in the next couple of days. All right, that brings us to board member reports. As a courtesy to our newest member, let's start off with Mr. Holland. Do you have any comments tonight, sir?
Yes, I'd like to thank you all for the warm welcome, and I look forward to working with you all.
Thank you. Ms. Wellman?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Really briefly, the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Advisory Committee is meeting this Thursday, and we'll be talking about the Winchester Hospital grant that we're working on. And we're also planning some festivities for Pride Month in June. We will bring before the board at a future meeting, likely bring before the board a request to approve a 5K route. And we're looking to also host a rally on the Common. And then we'll be doing some joint programs with the library and some other things. So it looks like we've got some great interest in doing that plan for June. NIMCOG's meeting later this month, and I just want to thank the residents who came out and voted on Saturday. Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kratman?
I have no board member reports.
Okay. Mr. Mackey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have nothing to report.
All right, so I'll keep that streak going, and I will close the meeting by adding, I have nothing to report. So if there's no other business before us, we have some documents to sign. I'll ask my colleagues to just stick around for 2 minutes after we recess, or adjourn rather, to execute these documents. With that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn the meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Mackey, seconded by Ms. Wellman. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That will be a unanimous vote. Thank you and good evening.